my sister was friends with a couple people that were straight edge. If people don't know what that's called, what that is, it's like a gang that, I'm using that word loosely, a gang. It's a group of people who were sober, and it started out fairly positive. It was kind of a movement through like punk. If you look up the band Minor Threat, they have a song called Straight Edge, and that's kind of where it all started out. It's basically just like, hey, I can go to shows and not have to get fucked up. I can, do all these things and still be sober. Is more or less the meaning behind it, right? And Rachel introduces me to some of these people indirectly. They come over to our house, and I was like, holy shit, these kids are cool. Like, just, I don't know, there was something different about them. And obviously a large part of it was these are the older kids, okay? But I think they're so cool. They kind of have this like way that they carry themselves, what a lot of the kids nowadays would call like Riz. And they were just different. I'd always watch these 90s and early 2000s movies where all the teenage kids are getting fucked up, and these kids weren't. They were going to shows. So started listening to some hardcore music. That all kind of started, honestly, with like Hawthorne Heights and From First to Last. I still listen to both those bands all the time. And then, I start hearing more like hardcore stuff. I start learning about like the local music scene and stuff. So it basically became this community that I was around where everybody was kind of the same. We all had that same thing where we didn't want to drink. We didn't want to do drugs. We didn't want to smoke cigarettes. And I loved that. I don't know why, but I loved that. I thought it was so cool because whenever I would go outside of that circle, people would always tell me like, oh, that like everybody tries to do that for a little bit. And then, they always end up drinking or whatever it may be. And I actually have a distinct memory of this guy when I was camping with my family. And this guy goes, he's like, yeah, no, I tried being straight edge when I was a kid, but everybody breaks edge eventually. That's what it was called when you stop being straight edge, break edge, or you're a sellout. I hated that. I hated that he thought he knew me. He thought he could say how I was going to be. He thought he could predict my life path. And, it was kind of just like this unconscious little like, fuck you. You don't fucking know me. You don't know how I'm going to be just because, this was, again, a teenage brain. It was like, just because you're a fucking pussy and you broke edge, like, I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick to this. So time goes by. A friend breaks edge. Another friend breaks edge. Another friend breaks edge. And got to the point where I had, God, my early 20s, I had maybe 5, maybe 10 friends who were still straight edge. And the common thing between all of us was, it seemed, we all had some kind of addiction in our family history. We all had this idea that we wanted to prove people wrong, which, funny enough, also is kind of what kept me going in the gym. I remember this kid named Mitch told me I wasn't going to last in the gym. I have thoughts about that. But anyway, the circle that I was around was probably the biggest reason, at least early on. Because when do you get tempted with that the most? It's like when you're in high school, you go to high school parties, people passing around drinks or passing a joint or whatever it may be. That's when you're going to get the most temptation. And I had this group that nobody wanted to. No one wanted to fucking do that, which I will say is kind of similar with fat loss. Like, your community is very important, the people that are around you. But that was really the biggest thing for me in the beginning, was that my community, we were all like-minded in that. Nobody wanted to do these things. Look at a lot of my friends now. Most of us go to the gym. Most of us are self-employed. Your circle of influence, as it's referred to, is huge. If you're around a lot of people who are drinking and doing various kinds of drugs and whatever, what are the odds that you end up doing it too? Statistically, the odds are extremely high.
Hey guys, if you got some value out of that question, please share it to someone else who needs to hear it. And I'm talking to you right now. If you want to ask your own question, you can go direct message me on Instagram at AndrewPFM. You can go toss a comment on YouTube, on TikTok at AndrewPFM as well, or my business Instagram at Pride Fitness and Movement. Yeah, hope to see you guys there. Later.